base ecosystem. That is the layer 2 Ethereum. And of course, we've been speaking about USD duplication for a while. And now, of course, we've got JP Morgan launching their own token. So with the mix of USD and stablecoins generating yield in the traditional financial world, as well as on the blockchain, all at the same time, this happens through DeFi, lending and borrowing on Ethereum, and of course, chains like Base. Seeing that JP Morgan has jumped in, a lot of banks are going to be following right behind because of the regulatory clarity, the Genius Act, which is passed, but of course, people are looking forward to the Clarity Act. Now, amidst this digital asset wave, creators are using Zora, and they're able to monetize their craft in a decentralized way. That essentially means no caps, but also nobody's holding your money in between. If we take a look at the trends for stablecoins and CBDCs, you can clearly see since around the time of Ethereum's first transaction, we can see that there is a massive uptrend for search interest in not CBDCs, stablecoins. So you can clearly see that the world has much more interest, much more knowledge of this because the technology is enabling these ideas to come to fruition. In this video, I'm going to explain to you exactly why I'm so bullish on the Base ecosystem, especially when we start to look at the X402 standard, which is essentially just kind of baked into the internet. We just haven't used it. It's fascinating how Coinbase came out with this, launching X402 payments simply directly over HTTP. So everything we're so used to seeing and using with the internet, with hypertext transfer protocol, is very simple. We just use this every single day. But now what we're going to actually have is agent to agent or machine to machine, trusted or trustless transactions just kind of happening in the background. Not to mention a proposal has been made for trustless agents. Okay, so let's go over a couple of interesting things here. So the X402 and ERC-8004 are complementary, and essentially they address the idea of agent to agent interactions. If price dips down there, yes, I would be bullish for various reasons. A lot of them I've spoken about in the past, but one thing that I want to mention is the idea that just because price dips down far on Bitcoin doesn't necessarily mean that it won't have a chance to pump in other markets. What I mean is we may see the price of Bitcoin dip into these caution zones, but then these types of moves that are 15, 20% moves, 10% moves up are enough momentum to push altcoins up by 30%, 50%, 100%, 2,000% in some cases. Some of the most bullish projects that are brand new, altcoins specifically, will be launching when Bitcoin is in this caution zone. And all they need is a little bit of upside on Bitcoin for them to become super bullish in the 85-ish range, $85,000 range. But then I also see a bit of a danger zone in the $74,000 range. Now that's BTC USD. Let's take a look at the Bitcoin dominance chart. And as you can see, we've had altcoin seasons during these peak moments. We had a nice dip into altcoin season as BTC dominance rose sharply. Again, a huge dip into altcoin season as Bitcoin's price hit this area, this dominance area sharply and fell. We haven't seen that activity yet. Let's quickly take a look at ETH BTC, and we could see that we had a nice bounce, and this is a sign that there is strength in altcoins. Looking at the Ethereum chart as well on the daily, this looks like we're in for at least another daily rise, potentially likely leading us to the $6,000 range, possibly higher. I want to take a quick look at some of the base tokens that have my attention because they are so low in the price, but also because they have so much bullish momentum and a good narrative behind them. And of course, we're looking at Zora, we're looking at things like Virtual. You see these tokens have mass appeal, and you see that they are coming into ranges of interest. This is when things turn around. When there's a lot of fear, a lot of doubt, that's oftentimes when things turn around. So keep your eyes on something like Brett. Let's also look at, of course, Brian Armstrong's ResearchCoin. When science, when robotics, when this type of narrative comes into play and becomes common and positive and in the mainstream media as a strong narrative, we're going to see something like ResearchCoin pick up steam. We're also looking at Banker again. This is already integrated into the base app. A lot of these applications that we've looked at, or some of them at least, have already been integrated into the base app. And this is one of them as well. So look out for Banker as well, for agent protocol, AI agent interactions. That's the way to go. Now as well, looking at Vader, because Vader's bottoming out. And Vader looks like it's coming right back to its essential bonding curve prices, So if people were willing to buy this during the bonding curves on virtuals in the earlier days, I think it's reasonable for the average person to jump in, considering Vader is at the top when it comes to the first tokens launched on virtuals protocol. So I wouldn't sleep on that. Let's also quickly take a look at Freysa AI. This was another one of those Coinbase Ventures backed projects. A lot of interest is going on here. They have a pretty fantastic app, and the narrative is pretty strong. We're looking at AI twins and so much more. I want to look at this a little bit deeper because when I think of this idea of AI for robotics, I think what we're going to have in the near future is essentially more of a seamless experience with these tools, the robotics, whether it be for goggles, whether it be a in-home support system, physical device, you name it. These are going to need some type of brains, some type of framework to move around within your house or to carry out different tasks. And with platforms, projects like Freysa, platforms or projects like Vader making a shift into robotics, I think it's only a positive thing for them in the future. And of course, a lot of us are able to actually participate directly into these protocols by contributing our data and earning rewards in between or as a result of our contributions, right? So when I look at something like this, people will be having these devices in their homes that'll help them out. But what is inside the head? What memories does it have? What does it use to navigate your space and to understand you? Well, possibly we might be getting into data harvesting, if I could use it like that. And this interesting data, this useful data could be used to improve or to simply create the way these robots actually interact with us in our day-to-day lives, right? So of course, Vader has made the switch. Of course, they're already working on their glasses, but I wouldn't be surprised if we saw even more. And of course, even more rewards for anybody that's participating. So when I look at Virtual's protocol and I just imagine, I see where this platform began and where it is now with all of these interconnected agents. And then I think of X402 and how that's going to benefit this in the future with even more seamless ability to transact in a trustless way on chain. Seeing all of these coming together just over the past year and a half or two, the base ecosystem is super bullish right now. There's so much going on. I would take a look at what's brewing, what platforms are available, what is actually getting financial backing. Take a look at the base app platforms like Zora, Banker. We're also looking at Coinbase Ventures because over here you can actually take a look at what base ecosystem platforms have received funding, what has been acquired, what has been backed and supported. Because if Coinbase thinks it's bullish, and they seem to know everything about regulations because they're always ahead of the curve on regulations or on new apps and new tools that kind of seem to be, again, ahead of regulations. You get to see here, Coinbase Ventures has acquired this team. They've supported them with funds. They supported them with funds. Why did they acquire this? Why did they support this? Hit the link in the description. Be sure to show up for our live Q&As. These happen in some cases monthly, also weekly. Hit the link in the description. Of course, watch this video for more about CBDCs and asset tokenization. As a matter of fact, check out the entire playlist.